Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to show a work-in-progress walkthrough of the Gearbound Odyssey tutorial level. Before we get into it, this is still very unfinished. The tutorial is only about halfway done right now, so some areas are still placeholders, some things may look rough, and a few systems are still being worked on. But I wanted to show where the game is currently at, what is already playable, and what I'm focusing on next. So let's jump right in. Right now, the tutorial starts here with Ember entering the training area. The goal of this opening section is to introduce the player to the controls without making it feel too much like a basic tutorial. I'm trying to make it feel more like Ember is being tested and guided through a real training sequence instead of just throwing text on the screen that says press button. This is also where the voice acting starts coming in. Alan guides the player through the tutorial while the commander adds more story, context, and tension in the background. Voice lines are still being added and adjusted, but even at this stage, they already make the level feel way more alive.
What do I look like, a jumping Lombax to you?
A what? You know what? Never mind. Just focus. Clear those obstacles and make your way up to the door.
After that, the player moves into the platforming section. This part introduces jumping and moving across obstacles. Since Gearbound has a lot of action platformer inspiration, I want the movement to feel responsive and fun early on. This section is still being worked on, so the layout might change, but the basic idea is to slowly build the player's confidence before throwing them into combat or more intense situations. I'm also testing how much guidance the player needs here. I don't want the tutorial to feel slow, but I also don't want new players getting lost right away. One of the biggest things I've been working on recently is getting the voice acting into the tutorial. Right now the tutorial includes lines from Alan, the commander, and Ember. Alan acts more like the support voice helping guide the player through the tutorial, and the commander has a much colder, more controlled presence, which adds some tension to the scene. And Ember gives the player more personality. She does not feel like a silent character just running through test rooms. The voice acting is still being cut up, placed, and timed correctly, but hearing it in-game already makes a massive difference. It gives the tutorial more identity and helps set the tone for the rest of the game. Another system being worked on in this tutorial is the quest and door trigger system. Some parts of the level are connected to conversations, objectives, and doors that once certain conditions are complete. For example, a voice conversation might finish, then a quest starts, or a door opens to let the player continue. This is still one of the areas I'm polishing right now. Some triggers are working, while others still need to be fixed or cleaned up. The goal is to have the tutorial flow smoothly from one section to the next without the player feeling like they're just waiting around or confused about what just happened. The second half of the tutorial is where things will start to ramp up more. This is where I plan to introduce combat, enemy encounters, and more of the core gameplay. I don't want to throw everything at the player immediately, so the first half is more about movement, story setup, and basic control. Then the next part will start testing the player with the actual threats. This section is not fully done yet, but once it is finished, the tutorial should give players a good idea of what Gearbound Odyssey is going to feel like. So right now the tutorial is roughly halfway complete. What is currently being worked on includes finishing the second half of the tutorial, polishing the voice line timing, fixing quest and door progression, improving music transitions, adding more environmental detail, making the level flow better from section to section, and preparing the tutorial to feel like a proper opening for Chapter 1. There's still a lot to do, but it is starting to come together. That is the current work in progress walkthrough of the Gearbound Odyssey tutorial level. Again, this is not final, a lot of things are still placeholder, unfinished, or being polished. But I wanted to show where development is at right now, and give a look at how the opening of the game is coming together. Next, I'll be focusing on finishing the rest of the tutorial, tightening up the quest flow, adding more polish, and making the first playable section feel much closer to final. Thanks for watching, and if you want to follow the development, make sure you wishlist Gearbound Odyssey on Steam and join the community. I'll see you in the next dev update.